about how to generate address lists for prospecting. So there's a few different ways to do this, but the way I prefer to do it is through a tool called CRS, Courthouse Retrieval System, and that is available to you through the MLS. So to access this program, you'll want to go to the Paragon home screen and go up to the Tax tab right up here at the top. And then you're going to go to CRS Data Tax Search. This is going to open up a new tab to the CRS Data website. This data is all generated from county records and from MLS records. So there's two main functions to this program. There's the property search function, but we're going to focus on the prospecting function today. So once you click on prospecting, it's going to open up this screen here. You can see the map right in the middle. On the left side of your screen is where you're going to enter all of your search criteria. And on the right side of the screen is where you're going to see all of the results for your search criteria. So you start with entering any counties that you're going to be searching in. You can use the search bar down here to search by name, address, subdivision. So you can see here if I start typing Williams, it's going to open up a lot of different options, either by owner name, street address, subdivision, anything like that. I always like to start my search with the map function because then you know that you're going to be getting every address regardless of how the record was added into the county database. So let's zoom in here and find an area. In this example, I'm going to be looking for off-market properties, so I'm going to be prospecting to sellers in the Exarban area. So I'm going to zoom in here. I have buyers that are looking in this vicinity right here. So I'm going to go up here and use the draw tool. You have a few different options. You can make a polygon if you need kind of an odd shape. You can just use the rectangle, circle if you're looking for a radius, or you can use the freehand tool. For this example, I'm going to use the rectangle. You're going to click in your first corner and then drag down to create your shape. Click again and it'll give you the option to either include or exclude this section. I'm going to go ahead and include this section. If I wanted to exclude maybe some of these properties over here, I could make another shape and then say exclude, but for this example, I'm going to leave all of these here. You can see over on the right side of the screen that it's found 858 properties, but we do want to narrow that down a little bit. So let's go over to the left side of the screen and use some of our search filters. There's a lot of different filters that you can use. I'm going to point out a few that I like to use most often. You can use boundaries if you want to look by zip codes. You can also search for specific school zones. The MLS listings is good to use. You can look for expired, canceled, leased, or you can hit remove all active listings, which I always do just in case. Go ahead and hit update. And you can see that just took away a few there. Now we're down to 853. Another one I like to use is the owner type. If you want to prospect to owner-occupied properties, or maybe you're looking for investors or renters, then you could go to absentee in-state or absentee out-of-state. So that would mean you have a seller that doesn't live at this property, just owns the property, but he lives in Nebraska or out of Nebraska. For this example, let's go to owner-occupied and hit update. And that took away quite a bit. So now we're down to 538. Another one that I like to use is ownership duration. I think it's safe to assume that if you've only lived in your house for a year or two, you're probably not ready to move yet. So let's say we only want sellers that have owned their home for at least 3 years. And that brought us down to 362. You can also narrow by appraised value. Property type is not what you guys think it would be. This is not going to be like ranch or two-story. These are actual different types of property. So you can go ahead and use residential just to make sure that you weed out any commercial properties. You can also remove recent sales. This lets you drag this bar up to 18 months, so anything that's sold within the last 18 months. But that shouldn't make a big difference since we already used the ownership duration filter. There's a few more you can use, like mortgage age. If you want to prospect people that might have more equity than they think, you can choose properties based on how old their mortgage is. You can also narrow by square feet, year built, everything like that. So over here we have 362 properties found. From here you can scroll through. You can either select individual to keep or remove, but in this case, let's go ahead and hit select all. And then we have two options from here. First, I'm going to show you the create labels option. We'll say this is kind of the quicker and easier option. It's going to create your address labels ready for you to print and slap on a postcard or an envelope for you. There's a few that I always have checked here. You can skip records with no zip codes, remove any duplicates. You can choose how you want them sorted. This is also going to let you choose how to display the addressee. So we can use first name or last name first. We can include a title. You can include or exclude the second owner name. And then over here, it's asking which address do you want to use? So do we want to use the owner's address, maybe if we're prospecting to investors, or the property address? In this case, since I'm looking for sellers, I'm going to go to the property address. You can also include a line for or current resident, or just completely replace the address line with or current resident. Or you can use your own custom text. So maybe you want to say Exarban homeowner or anything like that. Then you're going to choose which type of labels you're going to print these onto. Most common that I use is Avery 5160, but you can change that to whichever you want. And then you can choose where you want the labels to start. So maybe you have one of those sheets where you've used half of them and you don't know what to do with the rest. You can click right here and tell CRS that you want them to start printing address number 1 on this label. Your last option is to choose a Word document or a PDF. So a PDF is just going to print the way that it is. If you want to make some edits, maybe change the font or change the formatting, you would want to do a Word document. Click whichever one you want and then go to create labels and it'll download that file for you, ready for you to go. So I'm going to click out of this and show you the other option. Once you have all of your search criteria, you have everything narrowed down. The other option is to hit export. So let's click there. It's going to ask you again which addresses do you want to export. Let's just go ahead and hit select all. And then we have a few options here. So let's go to edit fields, and this is going to let us choose which fields are going to be exported onto our Excel spreadsheet. So there's a lot of different options here. I know that some people want to narrow it down based on property type. Unfortunately, that's not an option since this goes by county records. But one thing that I usually use is the building stories. That way you can find out if it's a 1-story home, maybe a 2-story home. That can help you narrow that down a little bit. You can deselect any that you don't care about or select all to get all of them. For this example, I'll just hit select all and then go to export. This is going to download a CSV file for you, which will either open in Excel, or if you have a Mac, it'll probably open in Numbers, just like this one did. And then here is your spreadsheet with all of your homeowners' addresses and all of those data fields that were included on that last field we were on. From here you can generate your own address labels or use this as a task list, however you want to use it. If you do want to generate address labels from an Excel spreadsheet, there are instructions on how to do that on the course site. If you guys have any more questions on this after watching, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help anytime. And thanks for watching.